Welcome back, troops. I'm out walking the dog, and what I'd like to talk about today is something a few channels have shared, and that is my everyday carry. Now, I'm sure, as with most people, the everyday carry will change depending on the circumstances. So I've got my everyday dog carry with me today. Right, so unfortunately it might just be a little bit windy, but I'm out walking the dog. It's autumn, so although I might not always wear it, I carry a hat, and I carry a very important multi-tool. And at some stage we'll go through the 101 uses of the piece of cloth known as a shimog, or a shimag as it is spelt. That's good for the neck at this time of year as a scarf, but it has, as I say, 101 uses, and we'll cover that at some stage later on. I'm wearing a barber jacket, which is waxed. It's got no real padding in it. If I need more warmth, I wear a jumper or a fleece. In the pockets in this, I carry a phone. Dog spotted something, and as I'm out filming, I'm carrying my smartphone, which I just use as a camera. Alright, the dog's found someone to play with, so we'll just cut off for a moment. Okay, so that was just a little bit of excitement for the dog, but so I'm carrying a barber jacket, and you've seen in that pocket there. Now, this left hand pocket is the dog's pocket. So in the dog's pocket we've got something I don't really want her to see right now, which is that. In case I need to, she'll come immediately she sees that. I've also got primarily a first aid kit for the dog, which is double wrapped in polythene bags, and I'll go into this in a lot more detail when I get back to base camp, because I don't really want to open it unnecessarily here and have to pack it away again. There's a lot of items in there that you will probably think I should have in my pockets, but they're in here. So that is primarily a first aid kit, but it holds a lot of other things as well. And then I've got something that might be controversial, especially to you people who have dogs, and that is a genuine Herm Sprenger collar, a prong collar. So I'm sure some people will think that's cruel. There's a cruel collar. It's the genuine item, and that's only used when I have the dog in public places. She's a very excitable, intelligent, interested dog, and sometimes you need to keep control of her for her sake. So if we're in built up areas and she's full of energy and excitement, I'll put that on her, and then I have total control over. She knows she's under control. In fact, this collar is known as power steering for dogs, but just get the genuine version, which is round prongs, so I can put that on my neck and I can squash that in fairly tightly, and it's blunt, but it lets the dog know who's in control and not to be darting after objects, leaves that blow in the wind, especially at this time of year. So that's that pocket. The other pocket this side is material I pick up. That it's reserved for material I pick up, which is usually these dry parsley, wild parsley stalks. And the reason I picked that up is because we don't buy firelighters, we don't have lots of newspaper, yet we might need to just get the fire going on a morning when it's cold, it's been on overnight, died down, just embers, need something to get it going, so I pick stuff up. and that's what that's for. There's nothing in this top pocket, top right hand pocket, and there's nothing in the top left hand pocket. There's nothing in the top left hand pocket because of that the phone's on the internal pocket, but also as well those pockets, when I've got my rucksack on, they interfere with the waist strap of the rucksack. So that's my jacket. I've got two items around my neck. And you might say that's a daft place to keep them, but they are, you know, okay, I could get caught under the chin by them if I slipped or something, but that's the dog's lead, which has a more uses than just a dog lead. In fact, I quite often use it to hang my rucksack up when I'm carrying my rucksack. And I'm always with, well, not always, but generally with one set of binoculars. I have three different types of binoculars, and this is probably my mid-range. So I have smaller pair than this pair, and then some 70-50s. But these are ideal for just scouting ahead, seeing what's ahead of me. And they're bright enough that I get a better image on in a night time than with my eyes. So I always, when I'm walking the dog, I generally have one set of binoculars with me. Right, change the battery now. I've lowered the camera a bit just to show you that I wear these cargo trousers, gaiters and boots, but if it is particularly muddy I'll wear Wellingtons. So now we'll go through the pockets of the trousers, and the most important tool I carry with me is a small saw, because one of the first things I'll do when I'm out, I haven't done it yet but I will do it before I get back, and that's to find a stick or a staff to bring back with me. I've also got in this pocket a small whistle. It irritates me, this whistle, because it has a plastic pea in it and I don't like it rattling, so I just stuff that piece of toilet paper in there and I wrap the string round and I put an elastic band round, and that stops it from rattling. Now the compass, it has a compass on it which I've checked, and generally these compasses are not too good, but if you check that it does point north, because they don't always point north, and that when you're taking a bearing you make sure it is free to rotate, then I know this compass is going to give me general direction fairly well. And it also has on the other side a thermometer, which is just a good indicator. It's been in my pocket at the moment, so it's reading about, hang on, 10, 12, 14, about 16 degrees, which it's not. It's probably about 5, but I've just pulled it out of my pocket. Those are two things in this right hand top pocket. My lower pocket, I've got notepad, a little Sharpie, fine point, and a lighter, which I have wrapped with elastic bands so you can't accidentally let the gas out. And I've also got a needle and some linen thread on there as well. I can, at a push, use my phone just to record things. Anyway, let's go to the other side now. Gloves. If it was colder, I'd be wearing a thicker pair of gloves, or carrying them. Shepherd's sling for exercising the dog with that ball I showed you. And I'm not going to get this out. I'll show you this when I get back to base camp. I don't get it out unless I absolutely need to use it, but there is a legal carry, folding, non-locking, less than 3-inch cutting blade in there, made by Manticore Knives. I'll show you that when we get back to base camp. And it's wrapped in kitchen paper, because you can't always rely on finding sphagnum moss or a big enough leaf when you need it. And it comes in handy for other things as well. So that's that pocket. In the bottom pocket, bottom cargo pocket, the lens cap for this camera, some polythene bags in case I need to pick up after the dog, and there's a bootlace in there as well. Then in my back pocket, I've got something I picked up, put that down for now. But in the back pocket, I've got some more cordage and what can be used as a spare dog lead, because I have in these woods come across quite a few spare dogs which I've had to get back to the owners. So it's handy to have a lead with you. When you come out of the woods, the dog wonders what's going on, decides not to trust you anymore, and by then you could have taken it out of its familiar surroundings. And just something I picked up, a piece of sort of mylar bag. And that's it really. So that's it for what I normally carry, and I'll go through a few of those items in a bit more detail, especially that main item there when we get back to base camp, and I'll also go through a few of the alternatives that I might take instead of the items I showed you. So until we get back to base camp, then me and the dog have some serious walking to do. Right then, well, we're back at base camp, and as promised I'll show you the contents of this small first aid kit that I carry with me when I'm out with the dog. Will you get down? The first thing is it's in 2 polythene bags, and that's primarily to keep it reasonably dry, but also so that when you're urgently looking for one item of the contents, you can tip the small items into a polythene bag without going all over the floor and getting ruined. So it's also of course a useful item to have, polythene bags. So in here I have, it's all mostly in that zip-locked container, and I've also got some paper tissues in there which will be good for fire starting, absorbing moisture and wiping your bottom with. So that's the main pack there. I'll bring you in a bit closer and we'll open it up. Well, cooking me dinner here at the same time. Right, so we open this up and we might tip it out into this pack to get exactly what we want quickly, but in this case, first item out's another lighter with tape round it and laggy bands, just to give you extra laggy bands for fire starting or whatever, and also to stop the lighter from accidentally opening. We've got a Swiss Army knife, small knife. It's got a number of useful tools on it. It's got the 2 blades on it, and it's got, if I can get it out, a small saw on it, and then it's got the tin opener, can opener, screwdriver on it. I'm trying to be careful because I've got all the blades open and I don't want to run my finger across that. And then on the back side we've just got an awl. If I can get the awl out. A corkscrew. We've got a pair of tweezers which I can't rate very highly at all. There's not much. You wouldn't get a tick off with those tweezers, but for removing delicate objects from delicate places it might be useful. And then we've got a little pick there, a little toothpick, which again limited value, but we've got it, so there we go. So that's it. It's only the camping knife, which I don't know whether it's still continued or not, but it is a useful tool if you remember its limitations. Scissors. Again, these are very limited, but there's no scissors on this knife, and scissors, as long as you try and use them within the limitations, are very useful. Yeah, you might want to cut polythene to make some strapping or something. I have got tweezers in there, but for taking ticks off, if I've got nails, I just generally use my nails. We've got a couple of poo bags there, again elastic bands, and in there we've got another plastic bag, more elastic bands, and we've got a roll of what we call plasters. I think you call them band-aid plasters, with sterile dressing in the middle there. So remember, this is primarily if I have to fasten up the dog's foot because she's got cut on glass. So the scissors are going to come in useful for cutting that if I need to use it for more tape or what have you. Takes time to wrap it up, but it's a good idea to wrap your stuff up. And that's why you need a bag as well, if you're tipping stuff out quickly. And it might be raining, you don't know. Right, a couple of aspirin there, 4 aspirin, and they'll only be 75 milligrams. So really I need to, yeah they are, 75 milligram aspirin. I really want to replace them with 300 milligrams. A gauze dressing, another wound dressing, a magnifying glass, one of those flat magnifying glass which I got from Mad Dog Survival, and some cash, 15 quid, pretty much the same as $15, just in case you need to get a bus or buy a drink because you're dehydrated or something. Some alcohol based antiseptic wipes, sterilising a wound area, some small sticking plasters, some safety pins, and last but by no means least, some super glue. I have stuck up many cuts in the past with super glue, but before you do that you must make sure that there's no debris in the wound that's going to cause it to go septic. So it must be, you must be sure that you've cleaned the wound out before you stick it up with super glue. I have stuck dogs' pads up before, but on occasion the cuts have been so deep that I've had to go to the vets just to be sure that the cut was cleaned out. So there's not a lot in there, but as I say, it's primarily for cuts. There are, I mean, over time things evolve, but if your kit gets too big, you're not likely to have it in your pocket. Whereas I generally have this in my pocket. Now I have a much bigger first aid kits. I take a bigger first aid kit to work with me than this one. There's, as well as replacing the aspirin with 300 milligram aspirin, I'll probably put some antihistamine tablets in there as well. So that's basically the first aid kit and what I generally always have when I'm out with the dog. And it's good to get it out every now and again, just to remind yourself what's in there, just to change any items out that you think you need. And that's why it's also good to see other people's E.D.Cs, because that's where a lot of good ideas come from, because when you're thinking of just your experiences, you don't think of what might happen, what is liable to happen, and what has happened to other people, and what to take with you. I mean, there's a couple of examples I'll go through now, because I've got I don't always take the same kit out with me. My kit varies slightly depending on what I think I'm going to be doing. One of the biggest examples there is, I showed you this knife which I had with me, which is a legal carry in the UK, and it's made by Manticore Knives, so it's non-locking, although you have that bar there to stop it closing on you. So that makes it a legal carry in the UK, because we are very restricted here in the UK. But if I don't have that knife with me, then I'll have this one, and the reason I carry this one is because it has secateurs on it, and sometimes I might just want to do some pruning of areas I go through that are not well travelled, and so you get the brambles crossing it, so I might want to clear the brambles. It also has a knife and some other bits and pieces, but this is primarily a gardening tool. And then if I'm going to do some bona fide bushcraft in whatever area I finally get to, I'll take one of my many bushcraft tools. Both my saws, folding saws, are coming to the last, way past the best now, and I need a replacement. But I carry one of these two. You saw the little compass. If I'm going anywhere around the area where I live that I haven't been to before, along public footpaths, I'll generally take a Ordnance Survey map with me just to be sure, and also so you can point out to anybody who might disagree with you that at least you think you're on the path. Scrap notebook, but sometimes I'll take a waterproof notebook, and this has other things in it, like what have we got here? The lunar phases. I've printed off already the lunar phases for next year. I've also got the times of noon at Greenwich, just things, interesting things. And I've got two small GPSs, one in here which I'm not going to get out, fits on your wrist. It's a small Garmin GPS, and this even smaller one here. So the battery life on this is very limited, but it will tell you where you are, longitude and latitude. So if you've got a map to put that onto, then you'll know where you are. Binoculars, I generally take this one as you saw, but I might take this smaller one if I don't want to carry a lot of weight, or I might take a much larger one. So that's back to compasses again. I've got another handheld normal bezel compass, but my main compass and you'll see this Sunto MC2 compass. A lot of people have this compass, and there's a good reason a lot of people have this compass. I'm not going to go through all the features of this compass. I may in the future, but there's plenty of videos out there. But there is good reason to carry this compass, especially if you're going to be travelling abroad. So we've gone long enough for now. This video is going to be over 20 minutes long, I would think. So you saw what I took out with me in the field, and I've got a few alternatives here. Clothing as well. I quite often take this little pack out with me, and I've been out this morning, and we just got back not so long ago, so it's full of apples. But if I don't take this one, and say I'm going out for a little bit of wood, then I'll take my 25 litre rucksack with me. And I might wear boots, or if it's particularly muddy, I might wear my cheap Dunlop Wellingtons with a couple of pairs of socks. And I may also, this jacket that I'm wearing, the barber jacket, it's showerproof, but it's so worn now that it's not really waterproof, so I might take a lightweight Gore-Tex type waterproof with me. And that's it then. So that covers an everyday carry for my dog walking. And an everyday carry for work, as I say, would be different, slightly different. And that's in another rucksack, so it's more gear, certainly first aid wise, because it's expired now, and I haven't redone it, but I was a first aider at work, and I still might have to chip in if needed. So that's it. It's an interesting topic. It's an evolving topic, because we have an incident we've never experienced before, and you think, oh, I need to take this with me. Oh, one thing I haven't mentioned as well is a torch, a good torch. Hey, that'll do. Now that I'm just looking for something. That lighter I've got in there, I didn't mention this, but it has got a torch on the bottom of it. But also as well, you can use the light on your mobile phone. But quite often if I'm camping, I don't take a massive powerful torch. I just take a little torch. Probably can't even see that illuminated. So dim. That's because it's not. Now it might. Now I cover the solar panel, because it is a modified garden light. So I've got that switched on now, but the light hasn't come on because the solar panel is saying there's illumination. If I block the solar panel, it'll come on. But what it does mean is I can charge this up through the day. Not a lot, but then I'm not running it all the way through the night. So that's just something you can tell by the sticky glue gun there that I've just knocked up. So it's switched on now, so I'll just leave it charging, and then as long as I remember to switch it off tonight, it won't go down. One more thing is these hand warmers, which Mad Dog Survival brought to my attention, and they're fantastic when the weather's cold. And it says stays warm for up to 8 hours, and they do stay warm, but they tail off. So you get at least a solid 6 hours, if not 7 or 8 hours out of them. So they're a handy thing, and they might even be better off in my survival, in my little first aid kit. So we'll leave it there then, otherwise it's dragging on now far too long. And I've got some other projects planned, but we'll get to them in a week or so. So I'll leave it there then, and I wish you all the best. And it's pretty much the weekend, so I hope you all have a fantastic weekend.